Good morning and welcome, Wicked Smart listeners. Thanks for joining me this week. This is Chris Pre, and my focus every week is to empower you in some shape, form, or fashion. And this episode is absolutely on fire, no pun intended. You're going to hear from myself and John Lee Dumas. John's an entrepreneur on fire, has been top-ranked business podcast since 2012. He's got over 4,300 episodes published, 160 million total listens with over 1 million listens monthly. Do you think that might perhaps maybe be an opportunity for you to write that down and subscribe to his podcast? Make sure you share this episode with everybody you know. There's some serious nuggets in it as John walks you through his strengths of productivity, discipline, and focus. He also walks you through, how do I become the entrepreneur when I'm out in the real world and I got the W-2 going on and I'm afraid to make that leap? And he shares some of the stories that he embarked on to become an amazing entrepreneur in the real estate world after no experience, and then one of the top podcasters on the planet with no experience. Buckle in how I bring you the next Wicked Smart Masters class with Mr. John Lee Dumas. Enjoy. All right, guys, I want to make sure to remind you about our QLS Live event. We've been hosting this thing since 2016 in a basement, and now we have a brand new facility in Boston, Massachusetts this year, 2024. It's going to be September 23rd and 24th. That's a Monday and a Tuesday. It makes it easy for travel. It is literally right next to the airport. Go to smartrealestatecoach.com/QLS Live and use the coupon code podcast50. That's going to give you 50% off. I'll see you there. All right, John. So with that as a backdrop, welcome to the show, buddy. A pleasure to have you.
Chris, I am fired up to be here because I'm wicked smart.
You love it. You love it. And you're from New England. Let's just set that out there so everybody knows.
Yeah, Maine, the way life should be.
Yeah, and that's even more of an accent. I love it. All right, here's what I want to do. I got three things sorted, John. Our community is wicked smart investors that either want to be investors or they're struggling investors and they want to get into our niche. So when I think of that, if you can talk directly to them, what is the sort of the pathway for them to start? Because that's most of them. Or if they're in it to scale a business, if they have Zippo for experience. Like that's the main thing everybody's trying to do, but yet they're stuck in a W-2.
So I think there's a combination of two real things that people need to be thinking about when they're looking to start. And by two main things, I mean two sides of the equation. On one side of the equation, there's going to be passion, excitement, enthusiasm for that thing you're going to get into. Because if there's not, then listen, you're just going to get tired of doing it. And somebody who loves doing it is going to get up every day and do it, and they're going to beat you every single time. So that's one side of the equation. On the other side of the equation, there has to be skills, knowledge, and value that you are bringing to the equation in this thing that you're doing. Because otherwise, if you're not bringing value to somebody, if you're not solving problems for individuals, you're not going to build anything. So if you just have one side, this side, excitement, enthusiasm, that's just called a hobby. Like nobody cares. If you just have knowledge and skills and value that you're giving, you're going to get tired of doing it because you're lacking that other side that I talked about. You've got to find something where you have a combination of both of those things. I call it the zone of fire in the middle, where you have excitement and passion for that topic, for that idea, but you also have skills, knowledge, and value that you're bringing to the equation. When you combine those two things, you actually have a chance to win because you're going to get up every day wanting to do it and enjoying to do it, and you're going to be creating solutions for real problems in this world, and that's a recipe for success.
Okay, so they got those two. Then I'll just go logically in my brain. I'm going, okay, great. I just got off a 2-hour mastermind with our top tier students. They pay 100 plus to be in with us. And mindset comes to mind when you just said those two things. So how do you get through, or how do they get through the mindset piece that you and I both know as an entrepreneur is not easy? Like people bring baggage. I brought baggage after the crash. Like they just have this stuff in them. How do they get through that? What are some thoughts?
We all have baggage. And this is the thing. We are human beings. And when you're a human, you have certain innate things that you're going to feel emotionally when you're born all the way through death. It's fear. It's anxiety. It's stress. It's the imposter syndrome. All of these things are going to exist in your world because you're a human. And guess what? If you didn't have those emotions, if our ancestors didn't have those emotions, Chris, we wouldn't be standing here today because that's what kept them alive. That's what kept them from walking outside of a cave at midnight, was the fear that there might be a saber-tooth tiger waiting to eat them, which it would have, but they didn't. So they stayed as a tribe. They stayed huddled together and they survived another generation. And now here we are. in 2024 and beyond. So my comment to that about mindset is understand that when you're having those emotions and those feelings, A, you're human. B, your competition's having those emotions. So you embrace those emotions, understand it's part of the game, rise above them. Your competition gets trampled by them, and you're the last person standing, and that's how you win. And that's why I love the fact that you're in a mastermind, that you're running this mastermind, because, man, you need the supports of the people around you. You are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. These people need to be individuals you know, you like, you trust, you respect. When you're surrounded by people like that, they're going to support you when you're struggling. You're going to support them when they're struggling. You're going to build each other up. All ships in that mastermind is going to rise in a high tide, and you will win.
Yeah, I was digging into some of your stuff, John. Clearly, you had some just ridiculously on-fire growth, right? So how important, I kind of know the answer, but how important was the mentorship to you? And what was there one pivotal point, besides you just getting sick and tired of what you were doing, was there one pivotal point through a mentor or a coaching or a mastermind that clicked, or an aha?
It was everything for me at the beginning of my journey, which was 12 years ago now. I didn't know what I was getting into. I was an Army officer, turned corporate finance, turned law school, turned real estate agent. I didn't know what I was doing in the podcasting / communication / media world. I had never interviewed anybody. I was clueless about what I was getting into. But what did I do? I hired a mentor. This was an individual. Her name is Jamie Masters. She was a successful business podcast host. Guess what, Chris? I wanted to be a successful business podcast host, so she fit the mold. I then joined Cliff Ravenscraft's podcast mastermind because he was the podcast answer man. He had the answers. I had the questions. That's a pretty good fit. And guess what? This mastermind he put together was 10 other individuals who were at my stage, pre-launch, just launching their podcast. So we all had the same questions. We all had the same doubts and fears, but we were all there for each other. And then we had Cliff running the show. So then when we were all panicking together, he came in like a voice of reason and said, gentlemen, ladies, relax, chill out. This is part of the game. This is part of the process. This is the next step. So I would have stepped on so many minefields had I gone at this alone. I would have made so many wrong turns, wasted so much time, energy, effort, and money that I maybe never would have gotten to that point where I was able to eject into space when it came to growing my business in a great way. And because of my mentorship, because of the mastermind that I was in with the right mastermind leader, I was able to explode. And at month 13 of my business, I made $100,000 in net profit. And since then, which by the way was 11 years ago, I haven't had a month of under $100,000 of net profits as a result.
And I know I said it in the intro, but so everybody understand, you had how much experience before those 12 or 13 months in doing exactly this?
Literally zero.
Yep.
None, nada.
So no different than them trying to get into real estate, whether they're brand new or not. Okay, so I'm going in my head, just transitioning. Now they've said, okay, I got the skill set, the mindset, I can put together the mentorship, I got all that. Now let's take them forward. If they're going to become sort of that, I always tell them, put your CEO hat on. You're not a solopreneur anymore. What are some steps in there? And I know we're living on time, but we'll give them resources later to get hold of you.
So listen, another step that you really need to think about is, what are you going to do to actually discover a niche within the area that you're getting into that is not saturated, that doesn't have massive competition, that's for some reason a little untapped or ignored? Because if you're just starting off into something, believe me, if it's a big idea, which it probably is, if it's a really exciting industry, it's probably got a lot of competition, because that's why there's an opportunity, because a lot of people are doing really well, making a lot of money, having a lot of success. So you need to step back and say, what is the one thing that I can step in here and at least compete from day one in this niche? So I'm going to take this big idea, I'm going to niche down, maybe niche down again, until I find something that I can say day one, I'm at least competing with other people in this specific niche, or I'm dominating this niche because it's being overlooked and ignored right now. And a real estate example actually from me, Chris, I literally haven't thought about this in a long time because it feels like another lifetime. But in 2009, I moved to San Diego. Yeah, I moved to San Diego, California, no job, nothing. And I was like, I'm going to get into real estate because you know what? People are saying it's the worst time to get in. There's blood in the streets. There's going to be an opportunity. And I remember following these individuals. It was called Harris Real Estate University. There was this online course and community. And they were talking about two things, short sales and BPOs. And for reasons I won't get super detailed into because we don't have time, but I could literally write a book about it. I literally wrote the book on short sales. I published a book on short sales, and I had this to take to people to say, look, I literally wrote the book on short sales, and I became an expert and built a team around doing BPOs, broker price opinion of values, around San Diego County, and built up a team of 19 people, which again is a whole story. But it was doing things that other people didn't want to do and also didn't know that was available, so they were ignoring it. And so I niched down into those two things. I wasn't going after the beachfront home that everybody was trying to sell. I was never going to win that game. Never. I was going after areas that people weren't willing to go after, getting paid $35 to do an exterior BPO, base evaluation. But guess what? I learned how to train people, how to scale that. And I was making between $15,000 to $20,000 a month on BPOs and net profit for multiple years.
And again, that was a new industry for you, correct? At the time, same.
Brand new. I had no idea what I was doing.
So not brain science, but did you reach out for a mentor at that point?
I was in that course.
Yeah,
I was in that course, Harris Real Estate University. So I was learning from them directly.
So in your scaling, John, and I'm going to be cognizant of time here, and then we can tell people how to get you. Clearly, the productivity, the disciplines, and everything, and focus are like you mastered them clearly, and you're still, I'm sure, on a journey. What are one or two nuggets, again, press for time, I know, one or two nuggets that they can do to improve those areas? Because I used to tell my kids from when they were tiny, if you're disciplined, you can accomplish a whole lot of anything. I don't care what you're doing.
Okay, I created this product. It's called the Mastery Journal. The reason why I created that product is because I realized that I was having massive success because I was crushing three things: productivity, discipline, focus. I was killing those three things in a good way every single day. So I literally created a whole process on how to master productivity, discipline, and focus. Because if you can do those three things on a daily basis, it is literally inevitable that you are going to win at some level. And so for me, what is productivity? That is producing the right content. That's me. If I'm producing the right content, being on this show right now, I interviewed 7 people for Entrepreneurs on Fire yesterday. That was productive. This is productive because I'm producing the right content. So many people, Chris, and I'm sure you hear it, they're like, oh my God, Chris, I was so busy today. I did this, I did that. I ran around in circles and I pulled my hair out. And I'm like, that's not being productive. That's being busy. And that's why your bank account says 0.00. Yeah. Discipline. Listen, I'm an Army officer of 8 years. I was a tank commander in Iraq. I led men in battle. I realized I had to become disciplined or I was going to die or result in deaths within my platoon of 16 men. So I became disciplined. And discipline means this: you have a plan of action and you become a disciple to executing upon that plan. That's it. Like if you do that, you're going to win. And I love this saying that I coined a long time ago, which is win tomorrow today. Your plan for tomorrow should already be done before you're done your work today. You don't want to wake up tomorrow morning being all tired and groggy and being like, what am I going to do today? Oh, I need my coffee. And then before you know it, it's 10 o'clock. You're like, what am I doing? Your plan needs to be set the day prior. Win tomorrow today. Have a disciplined plan and be a disciple on executing that plan of action. And then 3, focus. So many things are distracting you, my friends. You're on Instagram, delete it from your phone. TikTok, delete it from your phone. These are all wastes of time. They're trying to get you, to distract you, to get your attention. Focus means follow one course until success. Not 2, not 3, follow one course. So what are you doing? You're having that niche that we talked about at the beginning of the show. You're identifying a special niche like I did with short sales and BPOs. You're identifying that, and then nothing else matters. It's complete blinders. You're going all in, and you're becoming the best. Just like 12 years ago, Chris, I said, there's no daily podcast interviewing entrepreneurs. And my mentor said there's a reason for that because nobody can pull it off. You can't find that many guests. you're going to get burned out. Your listeners will get burned out. Your guests, you won't be able to find them. Well, guess what? I said, if one of the best people in my industry is telling me it can't be done and I figure out a way to do it, that's a massive opportunity. I did it 12 years ago, 4,561 episodes later. I'm still going strong. I'll never stop. I love it. It's amazing. And I've won at a multi-million-dollar a year level as a result because I focused on being the best in a micro niche, by the way. Podcasting back in 2012 was nothing. It was a micro niche that I decided to come in, dominate, and I've never let go.
Love it. John, we're out of time, buddy. Entrepreneurs on Fire. We'll have it in the show notes, and I hope we can hang out just so I can hear you say Wicked Smart 10 more times.
You're the best, buddy.
Thanks a lot. Appreciate it. Okay, Wicked Smart listeners, that does wrap up our time together with Mr. John Lee Dumas. Reach out if either one of us could be helpful in any way, and look for him to be on an encore presentation because he is a New Englander. Have a great week.
Thanks for listening to the Smart Real Estate Coach podcast. If you're ready to invest in yourself and take your investing to the next level, check out our 90-day Jumpstart program by going to smartrealestatecoach.com/jump. That's smartrealestatecoach.com/jump, because now is the time to act boldly in this unprecedented market shift.